Same-day surgery sounds so simple, right? You go in, you have a procedure, and you're home resting by the evening. What could possibly be complicated about that? Well, it turns out that behind that convenience, there's this incredibly complex legal maze. So today, we're going to unpack all of it. So yeah, what is the big deal? Why is this so complicated? Well, for one of these surgery centers to even exist, they have to navigate a super dense jungle of rules. And it's not just one set of rules, it's a 1-2 punch from both the federal government and their own state. It's a 2-layer challenge, and we're going to break it all down. But first things first, before we dive headfirst into this maze, we've got to know what we're even talking about. What exactly is a surgery center? Let's get on the same page. The official term is an ambulatory surgical center, or just ASC for short. The easiest way to think about it is like the perfect sweet spot right between a regular doctor's office and a huge hospital. It's for procedures that are a little too involved for an office, but not so serious that you need to be admitted overnight. It's really all about making things more efficient and convenient for you. Okay, let's take our first step into layer 1 of this maze, the federal rulebook. Now, if an ASC wants to treat patients who have Medicare or Medicaid, and let's be real, most of them do, they absolutely have to play by a very strict set of national rules. This is really the foundation of the whole legal puzzle. So first up, we've got something called the Anti-Kickback Statute. The core idea here is actually pretty simple. Your doctor's medical advice should be based on what's best for your health, not on some secret payday. This law makes it a straight-up crime to offer or accept anything of value that's meant to influence patient referrals. And right next to that, you got its close cousin, the Stark Law. This one is all about what's called self-referral. Basically, it stops doctors from sending you to a facility that they themselves own a piece of for certain services. It's all about nipping those potential conflicts of interest right in the bud. Okay, let's break this down because this is a really crucial difference. The anti-kickback law is all about intent. You have to have meant to do something wrong. But the Stark Law, that's what's called a strict liability law. Your intent doesn't matter at all. If a doctor has a financial relationship with, say, an imaging center and refers a patient there, boom, that's a violation, unless a very specific legal exception applies. It doesn't matter if they had the best intentions in the world. And you can see how serious this is in the penalties. Anti-kickback can mean prison time, while Stark Law violations lead to massive, massive fines. And we're not done yet. Then there's the False Claims Act. This is the government's absolute sledgehammer when it comes to fighting fraud. For an ASC, this means their billing and their paperwork have to be perfect. Even one mistake, like something called upcoding, where you bill for a more expensive procedure than the one you actually did, can unleash huge fines and lawsuits. But it's not just about avoiding fraud. To even get paid by Medicare in the first place, ASCs have to meet this long, long list of conditions for coverage. And look at this list. It's not just about the surgery itself. It covers literally everything. How the place is managed, what happens in an emergency, your rights as a patient. It's a massive, comprehensive checklist for running a safe and effective facility. And of course, we can't possibly forget about HIPAA. You've all heard of it. It's the huge federal law that protects your private health information. ASCs are on the front lines here, and they are legally on the hook to have ironclad security to keep all of our data safe. That is a huge, huge responsibility. Whew, okay, so that's just the federal layer of the maze. You'd think that would be enough, right? Nope, we are not out of the woods yet. Now we have to navigate the state-level rules, which can be just as tricky. Let's zoom in and use Minnesota as an example to see how this works. So in Minnesota, you can't just rent a space and hang a sign that says surgery center. Oh no, you have to be officially licensed by the state. This means burying yourself in a mountain of paperwork, passing a really tough on-site inspection, and then you have to do it all over again, every single year. It's this constant cycle of proving that you meet the state's standards. And the state rules can get incredibly specific. Minnesota, for example, has its very own patient bill of rights. So that's yet another layer of compliance for these ASCs. They have to make sure they provide this document to every single patient and have procedures to make sure those rights are actually protected. And it's not just about rights. It is absolutely about safety. Minnesota requires these surgery centers to report any adverse health events, basically anything that goes wrong during a procedure, directly to the state. This is how the state keeps a close eye on quality control and makes sure patients are safe. Okay, so we've got federal laws, we've got state laws, but what does all of this actually mean in the real world, day to day? Let's look at some of the biggest compliance traps that ASCs have to dodge constantly. This table really lays it all out. Look at that first one, physician ownership. It's super common, but it's like walking a tightrope to avoid violating the Anti-Kickback and Stark laws. Or billing and coding. One little error could trigger a massive fraud investigation under the False Claims Act. And something as seemingly simple as managing medications. A mistake there could get your entire license revoked. The stakes are just incredibly high. So we've made it through the federal and the state layers of this legal maze, and what's become crystal clear is that providing a service that seems as simple as same-day surgery is anything but simple for the people actually running the show. And this, right here, is the key takeaway. In our modern healthcare system, just being a great doctor or a great surgeon isn't enough anymore. To actually succeed and run one of these centers, you have to be a master of this constantly changing, super complex legal obstacle course. It's a whole different skill set they never taught in medical school. And all of this brings us to a much bigger question. There's no doubt that healthcare is moving away from big, expensive hospitals and toward this more efficient, convenient outpatient care. But are our laws, many of which were built for a totally different era of medicine, actually keeping up? Or is this legal maze we just walked through actually holding back the future of medicine? That's the real challenge we all need to think about. Thanks so much for joining me.